I've had a request to show the characteristics of bass noises from these two synths following the series I did on the Prophet 6 versus the Prophet 8. Don't really think versus is a fair word, really. Comparison more than versus, because they're not in battle. So what I've done is I've set up some sounds here, some sort of bass, simple bass sounds. It's probably covered some old ground, considering a sound is, bass sound's an oscillator and a filter. But I'll concentrate more on the low end in this. So these are similar. What's really strange to me is that in the headphones, it sounds completely different to it does coming through the speakers. So I set up these two sounds here. To sound almost identical. And yet in the headphones the sounding, this is sounding a lot brighter. So let's just tweak this a little. On this one, we can see the original values. The low pass resonance here was on 0. Here it was on 85. So let's put that back to 85. On this one, you don't know. You can't see what your old values were. I suppose you could always put it on the editor on the computer. So there are slight differences there, but that's a big difference. Let's get the sounds that I made originally back. So. Just trying to get the cutoff and the envelope amount actually to be similar, because as you play with the cutoff, obviously the envelope amount changes what it sounds like. Delicate balance between the two. So what I'll try and do is listen to the end of the sound. So this one, obviously the filter's lower on that one, but is it because, yeah, so where it starts takes the envelope amount into account, whereas at the end it's not, it's at the end level, so that's more like where the cutoff should be, if that makes sense. And that's why I'm taking the resonance off, because that really does affect things. And the envelope time sounds pretty similar on these to me. So I think that's about as close as I'm going to get them. That's obviously the filters, the different sounds of the filters I described in the other videos. This one seems a bit warmer. This one seems a bit harsher, and that'll become more apparent in a few of the later sounds I do. So there are slight differences there. And if you listen really carefully, like I've just been doing, trying to match them up, you can hear a bit, this one sounds much richer there. But I think once you start playing it, as you would the bass line, rather than just sort of get all geeky over one particular portion of a sound. I can hear in that sort of wah, 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 wah going on. As well as the main sound. Let's have a listen with this one. That sounds, although this sounds richer, I think, there, as I'm playing, this one sounds nicer. Don't know why. Play them together, probably no difference. Try it the other way around, if I can coordinate myself properly. Yeah, so there are differences there. This one seems to be talking more, if that makes sense. Although this is doing a similar thing. Take the envelope down on this one, perhaps. There you go. That's now sounding like it's got more presence. So, you know, they are slightly different, but I don't think... I mean, now, in my headphones I'm listening to it at the minute. What are these headphones? Let's see. Sony MDR 7509. If that means anything to anyone. But they're quite, you know, quite a decent pair of headphones. Just so difficult trying to get them matched up perfectly. But again, in the mix, what I find is that when I'm just playing these, doing these demos, I forget which one I'm playing and I go to tweak the wrong, the filter on the wrong one. Whoops. Oh. Knock that a bit. Let's get it back if I can. Yeah, you know, can't get them exact. I don't think you'd expect me to. I think they're quite closely matched, really. This one sometimes feels a bit deeper and has more presence. This one sings a bit more, I think. More musical? Oh, don't know. Whatever that means. People talk about EQs being musical. I think musical tends to mean just the range of parameters that you can change keeps it from sounding harsh. Okay, so that's that. That's a basic sawtooth with some little bit of envelope on the filters. I'll play with the resonance later. I've got a little sort of acid line set up. Next one, then let's take a look at, okay, dual oscillator. Just trying to get the levels a bit more equal. set these up in unison mode actually, so that it's more like a mono synth, more like, you know, you tend not to play chords in bass. If you're listening on your iPhone, you might not be able to hear anything here. But some nice subs. Try the same with this one. What I've found on this is that the filters, the frequency and the resonance, the knobs tend to come into play outside the total play area, as it were. So the frequency, I can't hear much happening until they get to there, whereas on this one, straight away. Again, that is that the tuning thing, you know, it's been calibrated to sound more musical, because it's easier to get the sound you're looking for. So again, if you're listening through a laptop, you might not be getting anything, but see, for the same on what I'm on just past 9 o'clock, and on this one I'm on 12 o'clock. As I said in the other videos, I think this one is harsher and this one's warmer. Okay, let's move on to another sound so we don't linger over and obsess over these too much. Pulse width. After another comment actually by Sacred Synthesis, Mr. Synthesis himself, I noticed that the pulse width at 48 is pretty much the same as the pulse width at 50 there. What have we done? Again, filters coming into play slightly. As I go higher up the keyboard, I'm noticing that that this sounds pretty much as bright as this, but as we come lower, this is sounding brighter. Which is easily, if you don't like it as bright, easily fixed by the filter, I suppose. Let's have a listen to the subs. Interesting. Playing around like this one sounds duller than this in some. Although on the single notes, this one sounds brighter, and I think it's more, possibly more sort of harmonics coming through in the filter on this. I think, again, this sounds more polished. This sounds a little bit more woody. But again, in the mix, I don't think anyone would tell. Again, really close, you know, making a decision to be which one you want to buy, I don't think. I mean, there's sort of people that really can't stand the sound of this Curtis filter in this. So. That does sound nicer, but you know, there's a huge price difference in there, isn't there? And you might not need effects. You might, you know, it might be better to have two oscillators. Split keyboard on this as well. I've not really mentioned the split keyboard before, but that's easily oscillator A. Layer A and layer B, and you can split them and stack them. Let's do that. Let's put layer B. So I'm listening only to layer B because it's not in stack. Whoops. Let's put a sub on. There you go, so it's on an octave lower, on C1, knocking the camera there. Let's put it into a triangle. Stack them. Let's edit both together, flash in that, and then change the release, because the layer B had a longer release time there. Put it into split mode, and then we've got down here, we've got the sub, and up here we've got the although they sound very similar. Let's just edit layer A for a second to make it very different. Let's see what we get now. I'm not hearing a split. Oh, it's because I got on stack. So obviously that's the sub. Change the split point. So there. I'll put it on split again. There you go. Now, okay, so there's the... So I've got it the wrong way around. Layer B is at the top, layer A is at the bottom. So got the nice sort of harsh sounding or higher frequency cut off on this one, and the subs up there. You can't do that on that one, but I've not mentioned that one. It's easy enough to change the split point just when you've got it in split mode. Just hit key or so it's changed from there to there, from there to there. Just something else that this does. Okay. Obviously, when we're looking at bass as well. So, actually, let's have a listen to the sub on that while we're doing this. Edit them both again and get the frequency. Don't know there's much in that at all. As I'm playing around with the filter, I get the feeling that this, again, sounds a bit more rich. I don't like using that word, but there you go. And this could probably, I think, would fit better in a mix in that it cut through the mix a bit more. A bit more presence. But, you know, if the money's important to you, I can't see why you'd get that one over that one for this at the minute. Let's move on then, in that case.